Welcome back to That's Delivered. I'm your host, Truck and Ray, and today we have a guest with us. So happy to have Mark Fiorello. Mark is a Marine Corps veteran, trucking professional, and safety-focused leader. With more than 1 million safe driving miles under his belt, he's passionate about improving communication between drivers and management, strengthening company culture, and helping the industry better understand where technology and AI can make a real difference. Mark, welcome to the show. Mark, how you doing today? Glad to have you on.
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well. We're always happy to have guests on the show and tell their experiences, and a lot of people can learn from what you have to offer. I mean, how did you get into the trucking world, logistics world?
It started when I was really young. From the time I was, about that tall, I wanted to drive a truck and uh, grew up wanting to drive a truck and then went into the Marine Corps and got out and went to truck driving school, learned how to drive. And heck, I've been doing it now for over 33 years.
Wow. I mean, man, that's amazing. 33 years. That's great dedication. Appreciate the help that you've been able to provide. Thank you so much, man. You're doing. I mean, what lessons did you learn from being a Marine that still apply in trucking?
I think the biggest lessons that I learned in the Marine Corps was really discipline, accountability, and teamwork. In the Marines and in trucking, everyone has a role. Uh, and when communication breaks down, the mission, suffers. Everything suffers.
Yeah, it does. Um, I think there's a lot of important lessons to learn. I mean, when it comes to transportation, and when there's not good communication, a lot of things are going to suffer. What separates good leaders from great leaders?
Uh, I think probably the biggest thing that separates good leaders from great leaders is communication. Uh, in the way that you present things and teach and show people how things need to be done and what you expect of that person so they know what their role is and how to accomplish it.
Nice. A lot of leaders out there they make the mistake of seeing companies and when they get started. But what's one thing that they possibly miss that you see today?
um I think that really it's just communication. I think that you know back then it was more communication, everything was by phone or in person. And now you have cell phones, you have text messaging, you have AI that can help with all this stuff. And that's pretty much what I'm working on, trying to get companies to integrate AI into different operations. And it's not to replace people, it's to assist the people in make things quicker.
Yeah. I mean, drivers, I mean, the company culture, there's a lot of things that go into play. How does, the things that you're working on help drivers feel more, connected with their company?
Well, I think that uh, you know relationships between the company and the driver uh, really stems from communication from the start. There's a lot of companies that you know promise drivers the moon,
Hmm.
and this is the way, this is just the greatest place in sliced bread. And then, the next thing you don't get any communication. You by the time you get communication, it's like, I should have known this a couple hours ago.
Yeah.
What's taking so long? Now I'm having to, you know, backtrack and try to figure out how I'm gonna fix this problem that was created hours ago. And you're just, it seems like the driver's always behind. The driver's always the last person to know what's going on. Almost like the Marines, first to know, last to, you know, first to go, last to know type of deal. They send the
Yeah,
Marines in there, you're the first ones to go, but they don't tell you anything. And
man.
you're left, guessing, you know.
Yeah, I rely on a lot of the background and the training that really comes into play. Um, what practical things can companies do to rebuild trust if drivers have had a breakdown in the communication?
Uh, just being honest. I
Mm.
think over the years, uh, one of the biggest things uh, in all of my years has been companies aren't truthful with drivers. They promise you the moon, but they don't deliver. They say they're going to get you somewhere and you don't get there. They say you're going to get this and you don't get it. They promise you everything and they don't fulfill their end of the obligation. Not that they're going to, that they can necessarily fulfill it every time, but at least make an effort or communicate or, you know, and I think drivers will definitely go above and beyond for their company. But after, so many things, that's the biggest problem with retention is, drivers just get sick of not knowing anything or not getting, what they want. And then eventually they get frustrated with a company and then they leave.
Yeah, that's definitely frustrating. I mean, they put in a lot of work with these drivers. They put in a lot of training, and then they lose the driver. I mean, that's got to be very frustrating. What's one thing that you're working on that will help fix a lot of that?
Uh, Basically just communication. Like I said, AI isn't magic and it won't fix broken processes, but if the communication, is already broken, AI will just expose the problem. But where AI helps is, with status updates, load tracking, uh, detention, SOPs, reducing duplicate entries, and helping people get the information faster.
Nice. So some of these rollouts, what does the future look like for AI? There's a lot of misconceptions out there where the people have about AI. Where can AI realistically help trucking today?
Uh, like I said, I think that, AI, would help with status updates, tracking your loads, detention tracking, SOPs, reducing duplicate entries, uh, and helping just get the information faster to everyone,
Okay. And maybe
especially,
break that down for some
from,
of the listeners. How do they do that? I mean, how does that actually get implemented? Some of that.
Uh, part of it can be through templates, possibly integration into the transportation management systems. Usually what I do is do an audit of how their policies and procedures work
Mhm.
and what they're currently doing, and then go through and see where AI could help and how it could help, and what tools would be beneficial for each, you know, thing.
Okay. What's a scenario? Maybe you don't want to share any clients' names or customers' names, but what's one scenario where you saw a problem, they came to you, and then you were able to implement these things, and they saw success on the other end?
Uh, just in, the load from start to finish, there a lot of companies have all different ways that they're doing things. And so you can once you find out the way that they're doing it, you show them, what tools are available and how they can, what tools are available, how they use them, and then it's just a matter of if they want to implement that or not. And that's one of the biggest challenges right now. Most trucking companies, some of them have uh, tried using AI and really, I don't believe, got the proper training. And
Mhm.
they're like, well, this doesn't work. They just don't use it and go back
Mhm.
to doing things the way that they uh, were doing it. I think
Wow.
that the biggest thing is implementation, training, and showing them and actually getting them to use the system. And once they realize how to use it and how much time it saves them, that frees them up to do other things without having to do duplicate steps and duplicate entries and all this. I think that they would eventually realize that this is great, but it doesn't replace people. It just makes everything more streamlined and a quicker process as far as
Wow.
updating everybody, from the time the load's picked up to arriving at the shipper, whether you're delayed or not at the shipper when you leave, tracking, the load as it moves, uh, to getting everything made, getting everything, like if you were delayed or, all that stuff, you know, calculated and put into your system. And then that way, when you get the load delivered, you turn in your paperwork and it's ready to go. It's all your stuff is documented and billing can go out, and it's
Mhm.
just one streamlined process. And as it goes along, with AI, how you can do it and structure it is to where it up to dates each department. You know, dispatch gives you the load. All right. So you get the load, and then, you know, as you enter the stuff into your system, it updates everybody as you go to where it's all streamlined, more or less.
I like that. I mean, that sounds amazing if it works right. I mean, you've really zeroed in on that communication. If the client isn't communicating that what is being implemented is not working for them or they're not understanding it, then they're just gonna default and go right back to what they were doing. And then they wasted money and time and effort. It's very frustrating, I'm sure. But if it works smoothly, that reminds me of someone, got clogged pipes at their home. And then they
Yes.
want to get it all fixed because, stuff is there's getting blockage and they're getting frustrated. So when you get those pipes cleared out and things flow the way they need to flow, it is probably very peaceful to get those things to work correctly. And I see that. But what you're saying is very important for companies to really hone in on the implementation to make sure that it's done correctly and that
And
it works.
training, I think one of the major things is training,
Oh, I like that.
and possibly continued training. Some companies, you know, will say, yeah, all right, I want to do this, train me and teach me, and you do that. And then they're like, all right, that's all I need. See you later, you know,
Huh.
and it's like, well, if you want, we can set up a maintenance thing as far as, all these implementations that we're making. And we can do, a weekly or bi-weekly or a monthly training, as things change and as we need to change things, we can train you on all this. And if we do a weekly or bi-weekly training or something, if you have any questions, you get them answered, you know, and know how to implement it, know how to do it to where there's not any of that. Well, this doesn't work, or I forget how to do it, or I didn't take notes when you were doing the training, so I don't know how to do this. So screw it, I'm going back to the old way. So,
Wow. Yeah.
and that's been the biggest challenge is, a lot, like I said, a lot of companies have tried, some have tried it and some haven't, some don't want to. But if it's structured properly, I think it could really be beneficial for everybody involved as far as updating brokers, updating all the departments, letting everybody know what's going on, and by entering all that stuff as the driver goes, it updates everybody automatically.
So what's slowing it down for individuals? You mentioned that the little hesitancy. There's places where maybe they just think that it's going to take their job, and then there's some fear factor in there. I'm sure there's a lot that I can try to imagine, but what have you seen that slows down this process or makes it worse, where they can't they can't get it done?
I think I think some companies don't want to change. They're like you said. I think they're kind of afraid of it. A lot of companies may think, oh well, this or you know AI is going to take my job, and AI is really not going to take your job. It's going to make your job easier. It's not really built to replace you. It's there to assist you.
I like that because even on this podcast, there's a lot of technology that comes my way. I could use it. I try to, invest in the podcast, and you try to bring stuff in to make it better. But it gets a little frustrating because it's me. I don't know exactly how to use it correctly. So investing in the training, I could see that even just for myself. I'm applying it for me. I'm just thinking about that. I'm not just thinking about these trucking companies out here that are struggling, but there's something going on out there where the human needs to learn how to adjust to what's available to them so that they can keep up and be competitive. That's where you come in. That's where you're able to help these individuals if they let you do it, right?
Yes, if they in the implementations, the way they implement it is, you get the training, you have the meetings, weekly, bi-weekly, to while they're learning this, and you're showing them how to do this, and it's to increase efficiency, and it's really designed to save each person, about 2 to 3 hours or 2 to 5 hours a week. So if each person in the company is saving 2 to 5 hours a week in duplicate entries and this, that, and the other thing, what does that free them up to do? Be more productive, get more loads,
Mm.
it just saves them a whole bunch of money from having them have to do duplicate things to, giving them other things that they could do and be more productive.
More productive. Is it a fear that people are having that maybe, company owners or boards will make a decision to eliminate their job? What's your prediction? Do you think that they will still be valuable to the company? The human factor, the human capital will still be there. What's your takes on that?
I think it will. I don't think AI is going to replace necessarily people. I think that AI is an enhancement. It helps you do your job, and it helps you do your job more efficiently.
Nice. That's good. I guess maybe if we, stop watching the shorts and start listening to individuals like yourself that specialize in these fields, maybe that fear will die down. So that's why I really appreciate you taking the time to come on the show and talk to people. Your expertise will help these individuals be successful and also help the economy, help the country be more fluid and have more time for more important things. That's what I can tell, and that's what I see that you're able to deliver. So appreciate that. What
Yeah,
are
I,
Yeah, what
I
are
think
some frustrating things that you think we can work on to try to get that process better? I mean, I know you said communication. Um, what's one thing that you would see that companies can do when they reach out to you and they're like, all right, we want to start this new process. What can they have the mindset to get right before they say, oh, we don't want to do this right now? What would you say?
I would say, look, if you're hesitant, uh, like we do a transportation, audit where
Mhm.
we, if you call me up and say, hey, we're thinking about doing this AI thing, or, we're not too sure about it. Can you tell me more, or can you kind of explain it to me? I'm kind of lost. I think the early adapters are in the long run will be more efficient and more productive, and it'll be more beneficial. And I think they'll realize that in time. But if you do this audit, then you can find out more about it. Uh, like I said, we go through the whole transportation, their whole how they do things. And, then we evaluate all that. We find out, and tell them where AI could be beneficial, and then they can make that decision.
Nice.
Yeah.
So a real good evaluation. And you mentioned adapters. Can you explain what these adapters are?
The ones who decide to actually do it, because that's been the biggest challenge, is there's a lot of companies out there that are fearful of it, and it's not perfect by any means, but I think it's not going to go away. I think it's only going to get better, and as we go along, and I think the early adopters of it that get into it and then actually start learning it, using it, it's just going to put them that much further ahead of people as it in the future uh, evolves.
I got you. So adopt the mindset. Adopt,
Yes.
instead of just fighting it, you got to, if you're going to call and ask for help, you need to be open to it. Don't fight it. Call for help and then fight it.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people that don't want to change. They're in their comfort zone. We're doing this. We've done it this way for X amount of years. And we're doing just fine without AI. We don't need this stuff. And okay, if that's the way you feel, but why wouldn't you do an audit to maybe get more education on the AI and how it could benefit you, and have someone show you what it could do for you.
Yeah. Find those weak spots
Yes.
and strengthen them. I
Yes.
like that. Okay. Um, what are some of the name of the packages that you offer? Do you have like a particular package deal, or is it just all custom fitted?
It's all custom fitted, what they want to do. And we don't have a cookie cutter approach to, this stuff where we just say, all right, this is our package, take it or leave it kind of deal. You know, we custom we build a package for each individual company or person, or you know to whatever it is they're looking for.
Okay, so just to get it initially started, what is someone looking to invest at? What would be the first initial investment?
uh just the transportation audit,
Okay,
that that would be your initial investment. you know
that's what we'll call it. All right,
you
I
know
like that.
that
Yeah,
and that audit would reveal all the different uh all the different ways, AI could improve your operation. And, uh, we just outline a whole system for you, and you could pick and choose, what you want or what you need or what you're looking for. And we'll design it just however you want it.
Perfect. What's the best way for people to reach out and try to get to know you guys? Do you have a website or is there a social media following?
Right now, I'm working on getting the website up and running. If they wanted to reach me, they could send me an email, or if they wanted to call me, they could give me a call.
Okay. What's the email that they should use? You want to
Uh,
just put that in the notes or you can verbalize it as well?
uh, just Mark Fiorello at yahoo.com.
All
The
right. I
same
like it.
email that I gave you. And, if they wanted to call me, my number is 405-410-1646.
That's beautiful. And
Just leave
Mark,
me a message, and if I don't answer, just leave me a message, and I'll get back with you.
I feel like, we're cleaning house, we're helping the industry out, we're getting those cobwebs down. We're helping people thrive in an industry that has room for success, room for people to be better. So, and I think you're providing that great service. So keep up the great work. And coming on the show, also talking about it. I know you have a limited amount of time, so you carved out some minutes here for us so that we can get an eye opener to what's slowing people down. It's just those misconceptions, those short videos are probably scaring people thinking that they're going to not be have any jobs, not have any income, and you're here to tell them it's not the case. So AI is just going to help give you more time, help you dedicate more time to the experience of the customer. So this is good, this is great, and it's something that eye opener for many people out there to know that communication, leadership, and trust is going to be the key factors to help you be successful. So I really appreciate you talking about this.
And I appreciate you having me, on here, to talk about it and, share it with you and all your viewers. So I'd be more than happy to come back anytime, or if anybody has any questions, like I gave you my contact information. So
Awesome. Being on the Best Delivered podcast, you're definitely always one of our family to come back on, talk about any new changes. I'm sure there's new things in the future to look forward to that you guys are going to be innovating within your company as well. So thank you for doing that.
yes, I'm working on some stuff individually, and I'm working on with collaborating with a few other people on different projects. So
All right. Well, I wish you guys all the success. Technology and AI will continue to evolve, but companies that succeed are the ones that will remember in the future in trucking is still a people business and also a successful business for streamlining and making the experience better.
mhm.
So I want to thank you so much for coming on the show. And as we always say, thanks for reaching out. If you guys want to comment, subscribe, share an episode with someone in the trucking industry, we appreciate it. This is another episode of That's Delivered. I'm your host, Trucking Ray. And until next time, stay safe, stay driven, and keep rolling out there.